back to this. Let's go back to this one. All right. The uteric bud formed, okay, now right here, I have right here. All right, the uteric bud appears about the 5th week. Okay, develops, okay, distal, develops from, talking about the metanephris, develops from the distal end of the mesonephric and the cloaca. It develops from the uteric bud and the metanephric mesoderm. That's going to be on your test. Okay, right there. Now make sure you know the uteric bud forms the collecting ducts, the calyces, which you don't know anything about yet, you're going to, the renal pelvis and the ureter, and the metanephric mesoderm forms the nephron. You remember the nephron a little bit? The nephron is made up of the what? What's the nephron? Remember there's the Bowman's capsule, the glomerulus, the proximal convoluted tubule, the Henle's loop, the distal. That's the nephron. You remember that vaguely? Vaguely? Okay, so everybody got that okay? You got that down? Okay, you got it down pretty good? Alright, this is kidney development. Okay. Babies will be born. Look up it sometime if you want to, and it's in your book. Look up polycystic and multicystic kidney. Sometimes babies are born with these situations. And if they're born with that situation, like Greg was, he had one, I can't remember if his was multicystic or polycystic. One of those situations, let me tell you all this, and I don't remember for sure. One of those situations, either polycystic or multicystic, if they have that, then later in life the other one can develop those cysts. The other one though, and he had the one which it only affected that one kidney. In other words, it's full of benign tumors. It's non-functional. Now I understand, Jamie, if a baby's born like that, they will leave that alone. It doesn't hurt anything. It's like coronary artery bypass. You bypass the blocked area, don't worry about taking out the blocked artery. Leave it alone. There's not hurting anything, not doing any good, but it's not hurting anything. So I understand now with one of those kidneys. So see, I became very interested in the urinary. I was teaching anatomy at that time. So I became very interested in the urinary system at that time when he was a baby. Became very obviously I did because, you know, I thought, what is that? What are you talking about? You know, I never had really gone into it because I hadn't been teaching anatomy that long. And so I got real interested in the non-functional kidney. Non-functional. All right. But the key thing, though, if it's non-functional and the other one's not going to be, you know, the key thing is as the person gets a little older, watch that. And of course, he had a strike against him because on my side of the family, hypertension tends to run. Hypertension tends to run on my side. You know, we never had problems, as I told you, with prostate. None of that kind of stuff. But hypertension, cardiovascular issues have been a situation to kind of medically manage or watch. All right, now, so we come on with that, and that's kind of interesting, but kind of hang on to that. Now, there's that picture again. And then the anatomy of the kidneys, let me just kind of, now, some of this you already know. Some of this is fluff stuff. You already know it. We need to kind of get on through these kidney things, because I want to get through kidney pretty well and get to reproduction and kind of do some stuff on that. Our time is kind of getting, you don't realize our time. Really and truly, I can cover stuff better in the summertime than in the long term. I really, really can. Going every day, bam, 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 like that. But there's so much time between classes. In the long term, it's easy to kind of get not out of focus, but to the time element. I mean, like next week, you're going to have a test one day. We're going to have a lecture the next day. The next week is Thanksgiving. This is when we'll have Monday class. The following week we'll have Monday, Wednesday, and that's it. The semester's over. So that's how it goes. It's kind of hard to keep up. It's kind of hard to manage. It's much easier to manage. It's much easier for me to manage in the summertime. It really is. But anyway, here's the way it goes right here. Reddish brown, you already know this. Now, one thing I always ask each kidney, let me show you this. First, they allow against the posterior wall of the abdominal cavity. I want to tell you this right here. Let me mention this. There's another. That's out of Seeley Stevenson tape. Which one of you in here has that Seeley Stevenson tape book? Yeah, see that you have that one too. Yeah, see the slides are more bold. They're more colorful, and they have usually more things on them, more labels. But there's just kind of showing you the situation right there. There's the urethra down here. There's the bladder right there, and so forth. And that's just kind of the way it works. Now let me show you right here. Look at this. Now here's something you want to remember. You want to be sure to remember this. Kidneys are retroperitoneal. Don't forget that term. Highlight that word, retroperitoneal. A kidney, y'all, can be gotten to without going into the peritoneal cavity. You follow me? The surgeon can get to a kidney without going into the abdominal pelvic cavity. In other words, they can get to the kidney right here, and just because it's retroperitoneal, meaning it is behind the peritoneum. Don't forget that. Okay, that'll be on the test somewhere. They're located between the parietal peritoneum and the posterior wall of the abdomen, the abdominal wall back here, the posterior wall back here. And notice I have right there, they may be approached surgically without entering the peritoneal cavity. Okay, so keep that one, that word right there will be on your test. Retroperitoneal. In fact, I think it's on some of those practice exams. I think that word retroperitoneal is on there. Tissue layers surrounding, well, this is not a big deal. There's one called the adipose capsule, there's the renal capsule, there's one called the renal fascia, there's one called the adipose layer. They go like this. The renal capsule lies right against the kidney. The innermost layer, it's a transparent fibrous membrane, adheres to the kidney, serves as a barrier against trauma and protects against the spread of infection to the kidneys. Well, so most infection from the kidneys, though, let me tell you this, though. Most infection of the kidneys, most kidney infections arise from bacteria moving back up the urethra to the bladder to the kidney. And the primary cause of that is E. coli. The big three are E. coli, Proteus, and Pseudomonas. Proteus vulgaris, another one called Pseudomonas aeruginosa, and Escherichia coli. Those are the main. But most kidney infections come from the bacteria moving back up through the system, from the urethra to the bladder to the ureter to the kidney. That's the way most kidney infections arise, most of them. All right, so there's that right there. Now, adipose, the second is an adipose capsule, and then the third one's the renal fascia. All right, fatty tissue which surrounds the renal capsule, protects it, holds it. In other words, we have a little bit of protection with fat and muscle back here. Fat and muscle, that's about all the protection the kidneys have. There's no bone that protects the kidney. So that's why in football there's the kidney pad. The strap's right around here. Some players wear that, the kidney pad. It comes right around here because football is a contact thing. And so there it helps protect that. All right, the renal fascia, that's a fibrous tissue layer. Anchors the kidneys to the surrounding structure of the abdominal wall. That's all it is. So what do you have? On this we have the renal capsule, that's the first one, just an innermost layer, thin. Then the adipose layer, it says adipose capsule, and then the renal fascia. And that's all there is to that. Right in through there, that just anchors it. And this is showing, this is out of your book by Katora. This is out of Katora's book. And you'll notice right up here where the cut is made, right through here. Now you can kind of see, if you look right here, you can see, this one says renal fascia right there. There's the adipose layer, right, the adipose capsule. And then the innermost one is the renal capsule. And so that's just, and here's the kidney, cut through like that. So that just kind of gives you an idea of that. Here's the pancreas, the stomach, the liver, all that kind of stuff right in through there. Cutting through the body of L12 of the thoracic vertebra, excuse me, or L2, I'm sorry, L2, the second lumbar.